Hi, welcome to Making All the Plans. I'm Connie, and if we haven't met before, I'm a busy mom of 2 active kids, and both my husband and I have full-time careers. My goal is to share with you how I stay on top of all life throws at me in one planner so that you might be able to do the same. So I have some extra inserts for my planner. I have a Tombow and my Black Muji .38, and then I have a bunch of stickers off to the side of my leftovers from February in case I want to use them throughout my goal setting for February. And then I also have my HB90 notebook so that I can put any completed tasks into that notebook. The first thing I want to do is change out my welcome page. I hate looking at this page and I'm ready to change it up. So I am going to go ahead and rewrite my name. I'm going to use this Tombow brush tip pen in 725. I do not have a lot of Tombow markers, but I want to try to start using them a little more frequently just so I can get more comfortable using the brush tip. I did go ahead and write some guidelines on my paper with pencil, and later I will come back and erase them after I know that all of my lettering is dry. I do like this pop of color on the sheet. I am going to realize that I started over a little bit too far, which I will just correct by doing a little doodle before the C in my name. I did go ahead and print my 2 yearly calendars on the back of this page. I like to have the yearly overviews in the front of my planner. I do not reference them frequently, but I do find them useful when I'm trying to get my head around planning out a bigger project. I had tried to live with the original page and writing in my name originally, but I just wasn't going to be able to look at it all year. So I'm very happy that I just went ahead and changed it out so that I didn't have to look at my mistake every time I opened my planner. I have already put my spread together for the month of February. I do not have anything to add or change at this point, so we will continue to move on and focus on resetting my planner and the goals for February. The first part of my reset is to take out all of the completed tasks from January and put them back into my HB90 notebook on the completed tasks page. And I will wait until February to move over those items that kind of overlap both January and February. And as soon as I find my purple highlighter that I like to use in my HB90 notebook, I will go ahead and write January on the page that has all the post-its, and then I will write February on the next page. And when I go and reset this board tomorrow night, I will move those items that I finished today and tomorrow onto the February completed page. I personally do not like to keep a lot of pages in my planner at once. I try to keep it as pared back as possible. So I'm going to go through my weekly and daily spreads and just note anything that I did not complete that I need to make a decision about what I want to do with it. So, is it going to not get done at all and get taken off of my to-do list? Am I going to do it this weekend and get it done? Or are we going to move it into Notion where I have my longer term tasks? The only 2 things that I found were a calendar for my mom, which I don't know if I'll do that now that it's already February, and getting or requesting a copy of a soccer video for my son. But I will write those 2 items on this post-it note and go ahead and put it on Sunday of this week so that I can either go ahead and take care of those items or make a decision about how they're moving forward. I did already review my vision board this morning during my morning routine, and I'm still happy with that. My vision board is the start of my tracker section, and although I was not great about filling out my tracker for January, I do want to go ahead and try it again. And since I do have a lot of leftover decor from my decorating of my February monthly spread, I am going to go ahead and decorate my habit tracker because why not? I'm not sure what else I would do with the die cuts. I'm not sure that I will save them since normally I color them in differently every time I stamp them. But I figured that since I had them already prepared, why not go ahead and use them on the habit tracker and just add a little decor to the page. These dies and stamps are still available, so I will link them down below, but I just like the little bit of decor they add to the page, and they're just fun and cute for February. And since I did do them on sticker paper, they are not very thick, so they do not thicken up my planner very much. I do want to track my morning routine items as well as a couple other things that I like to look at in the mornings. But let me go ahead and write those in real quick. I did grab my undo at the end, thinking I was going to have to move those mountains, but thankfully I did not end up having to move them. The bottom two lines were still empty, and that was the only section that the mountains overlapped, so I ended up not having to move them, thankfully. But then I will just swap out January's habit tracker for February's habit tracker, and we will move on to the next page. And these two pages overlap a little bit, and I want to use February as a trial period to see which habit tracking I prefer. I do use something similar for my yearly tracking of closing my rings on my watch, but this one I just pulled out the current month, printed it multiple times, and then picked a few items that I wanted to track instead of having such a long list of items to track each day. This February tracker, the February is broken up into 28 separate blocks, and each day you can color in a block if you complete the task. Two of them say lunch and dinner, and if I eat out, I'm going to color it in red, and if I don't eat out, I will probably color it in gray or blue or something not as abrupt as red so that I can go back at the end of the month and easily see if I met my goal objectives for the week and the month. But again, just a little bit of decor on this page to pull it into February. And since I have the extra, I might as well decorate the pages that I am using for February. But let me know down below in the comments if you are changing something up after trying something out for a month. I'm always curious to see if I'm the only one that is trying something different this early in the year. So I have the two habit trackers that I want to work through this month and see if one works better than the other, or maybe I won't do habit trackers like this at all. I'm still up in the air. The first two pages are habit trackers. Then I have my tarot daily spread, which I have been keeping up with. And then here is the page that looks familiar with the February pulled out. But on this tracker, I track the days that I close the rings on my Apple Watch. So I started off January strong and I am trying to get back into it. The disappointing part is there have been days where I've worked my butt off, but since I didn't start an actual exercise, I did not close my rings. And then by the time I realized I hadn't closed my rings at the end of the night, I was too exhausted to do more and to exercise more. So I just went to bed. Next up is my running tracker. I am going to be tracking running, walking, hiking, and then I have just a list of places that I can go hike. Then I have a tracker that we built together, and it is just tracking the 25 things I want to do in 2025. So read 25 books, create 25 scrapbook pages, and take 25 adventures. And those adventures could be small or big. And in January, I was able to complete 3 books. They were all audiobooks, but I still count them. I'm about halfway through a physical book, so I'm pretty happy about that as well. I do know that if I want to create 25 scrapbook layouts in 2025, that I am going to have to set aside a good chunk of time to do that. I do not like to get all my supplies out just for 1 or 2 layouts. So I really need to set aside a good chunk of time, whether it be a day or two, or I go to my mom's and scrapbook there for a couple days. And for adventures, I just need to start planning some. This next page is my health tracker, and I get all of these stats from either my watch or my scale, both of which sync to my phone, but I forgot to copy them off my phone before I started videoing. So I will come back and fill that section in after I've recorded this video. I do also like to have a visual book tracker page. This is just where I will write in the titles of the books that I have read, and then I will color in the books. I'll also color in the plants and the shelves and everything as the months progress. I don't feel the need to do that all at the beginning. I did finish listening to 3 audiobooks this month. They were The Book of Moods, Creativity Inc., and 4,000 Weeks. They were good books. They weren't the best books, but I did enjoy listening to them. The Creativity Inc. one was probably my favorite. It was the founder, I think, of Pixar, and he was talking about creativity and building a business around that creative space. It was neat to see what was going on in the business behind the movies. My kids grew up loving Pixar movies, so hearing what was going on when Toy Story was filmed or the sequels were filmed, that was really cool to hear just the goings on while those movies were being produced. And then last but not least in this tracking section is my Making All the Plans stats tracker. I can open YouTube and Instagram on my computer while I'm filming, so I can get these stats still. For YouTube posts, I did post 13 videos in the last month, and although not my highest numbers for views and watch time, they did increase from November and December. 72 additional subscribers joined the channel. If you're new, welcome. I am really excited to grow the community within this little channel. For Instagram, I posted 7 times and got an additional 4 followers over there. But I'm really focused on the views and interactions count, and I got the highest number that I've ever gotten. So I'm pretty excited about that. Here you can see the difference in the numbers from the end of last year to this year. And I do want to focus a little more on community this year. So I did start tracking an additional number for YouTube, and that is the number of comments. But I have been focusing on slow, consistent growth since I started building this channel, and I feel like I have helped some people hone their planning system and make it work better for them. And I've also received comments that have made it easier for me to plan and hone my planning skills. So, thank you to everyone who has left a comment, whether it be a question, something to tweak about my videos, or a suggestion for me or others for their planning systems. The next section in my planner is for routines and resets. I had a little post-it note about the time it took for me to complete the desk portion of my morning routine. And then the first page in is just how I am building my morning routine. I have not been great about moving back my wake up time, but I do want to start adding in these other parts of my routine and possibly moving exercise to a different time of the day. The other areas are just places for me to jot down ideas of things that I want to include in routines and resets. And at this point, I need to stop planning and start implementing those routines and resets. And once I figure out where they fit into my day, I will put them on this sheet. And I will link to the video that goes into more detail on setting up my planner if you want more information on these different sections. So now I just want to review the goals that I set for Q1. And then on the second page, I will actually write a reflection of each of the 3 goals that I have set for the quarter. So at the top of the page, I just have 1, 2, and 3, and those align with my 3 goals. And then along the side is January, February, and March, so that I can journal about the progress I have made or lack of progress I have made for each of those goals. I kind of wish I had not glued these 2 sheets of paper together so that I could have set them next to each other and seen the goals and been able to journal about them with the goals right next to me. So I did go ahead and open my goals in Notion. I do have a copy in there as well. But all 3 of my goals focus around consistency. The first goal is around consistency and making all the plans. The second is health and wellness, consistency. And the third is about consistency within my home. So, my weekly home blessing, where I do all my weekly chores, and chipping away at those bigger tasks that need completed. So we did just go over the numbers for making all the plans, but I have gotten 1,618 subscribers, which is already past the good goal that I set. So I'm pretty happy about that stat. I've also received 12 comments, which is a little more than a third of the way to my good goal. So I'm happy about that as well. My ads are about a third of the way there. My Instagram followers, I am at my good goal. The interactions, I have already beat the good and better goal. So I'm excited about that Instagram. So I'm excited about those Instagram numbers, but again, focusing on consistency is still key. The theme for all 3 journaling points is that I do just need to keep focusing on those routines and resets and staying consistent. So on goal 2, which is my personal goal, I did do a good job of reducing the amount of times we ate out or got takeout, but it's time for me to start tracking both the eating out and my spending habits. I also wrote down what I had mentioned earlier, that it's time to start following the routines and resets and not just plan them. I am an excellent planner, but you're supposed to plan the work, then work the plan. And that second part I have been failing on. Goal 3 is around home chores and bigger home tasks. And as I record this video, the house is clean, so that is exciting. But I'm focused on the small wins this month. The back door got replaced. We are working on getting quotes for the basement, and I got the laundry room deep cleaned. And those things feel so good to get checked off the list that I am ready to keep going. Let's clean out that next area, including the basement, and keep biting off those tasks that need done around the house. For example, my bathroom sink, it needs to be taken apart and cleaned out and put back together. Is anybody else going to do that? Nope, I am going to have to do that myself. But I'm just going to have to set aside the time and get it done. But each month I will come back and make my reflections on my goals, as well as just revisiting the goals and make sure that I'm still on track for achieving what I want to achieve this quarter. So I did mention for goal 2 that I want to start tracking my lunches and dinners out. And that's what inspired the new February tracker. I figured I would color in red on the days that I failed and either ate out or got takeout. And again, my goal is to just reduce the number, not stop completely. And I also want to track my spending this month. And I do have this small notebook from Hobonichi that I will keep in my wallet. And it just has a super tiny grid on it where I can track all of my expenses throughout the month. But thanks for coming along with me today. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I hope you have made great progress towards achieving your 2025 goals. Have a great February, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.